There is a moment in every person's life when they realize something that changes everything. The world is not defeated by the person with the most talent. It is not conquered by the person who starts with the most advantages. It is transformed by the person who decides day after day to become someone stronger than they were yesterday. Because the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world outside of you. It is against the version of yourself that wants comfort more than growth. Let me tell you something. Most people are not losing because they are incapable. Most people are losing because they are inconsistent. They have dreams, but they do not have daily standards. They have goals, but they do not have daily disciplines. They want a different future, but they keep repeating the same actions that created their current reality. And here's what most people don't understand. Your life does not suddenly change because of one giant decision. Your life changes because of the small decisions you make repeatedly when nobody is watching. The person you become is not created in a single dramatic moment. It is created quietly in the early morning when the alarm rings and you decide whether you are going to rise or surrender. In the moments when nobody would know if you gave up, in the hours when there is no applause, no recognition, no reward, those moments are where your future is being built. Think about this for a moment. A building is not created when people see the beautiful walls, the shining windows, and the finished design. The building is created when nobody is watching, when workers are digging deep into the ground, laying foundations that nobody will ever admire. Your character works the same way. The world sees your success, but the world rarely sees your foundation. The world sees the person who achieved something. But the world does not see the thousands of invisible choices that created that person. I learned something years ago. Success is not a destination where you finally arrive and say, I made it. Success is a person you become through the daily mastery of yourself. And if you want to become unstoppable, you must understand this. You cannot control everything that happens around you. You cannot control every opportunity. You cannot control every person. You cannot control every circumstance. But you can control what happens inside you. And that is where your power begins. The first thing you must master every day is your mind. Because before you build anything in the outside world, you must first build the person who can carry it. Your mind is the beginning of every achievement, every invention, every business, every relationship, every breakthrough. Everything begins as a thought before it becomes a reality. But most people never learn how to protect their minds. They wake up and immediately allow the world to enter. They check messages before they check their purpose. They consume other people's opinions before they create their own vision. They allow fear, negativity, and distraction to become the architects of their future. Imagine giving a stranger the keys to your house and saying, come inside and rearrange everything however you want. You would never do that. But every day, people allow random thoughts, random opinions, and random distractions to enter the most valuable place they own, their mind. Your mind is your inner kingdom. And if you do not govern it, something else will. Let me tell you about a person I once heard about. He was not born with extraordinary circumstances. He did not have a perfect background. He did not have unlimited resources. In fact, most people around him believed he was destined to live an ordinary life. But there was one thing different about him. Every morning, before the world had a chance to speak to him, he spoke to himself. He would sit quietly and ask, what kind of person do I need to become today? Not what do I need to get, not what do I need to receive, but who do I need to become? That question changed his life. Because most people ask the wrong questions. They ask, why is life so difficult? Why don't I have more? Why is success taking so long? But powerful people ask, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? What ability do I need to develop? What weakness do I need to overcome? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your thinking. And the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your actions. The second thing you must master every day is your discipline, because motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a foundation. Motivation feels powerful when it arrives. It gives you energy. It makes you believe anything is possible. But motivation is also unpredictable. Some days you will wake up inspired. Some days you will wake up tired. Some days you will feel unstoppable. Some days you will question everything. The person who depends only on motivation becomes a prisoner of emotion. But the person who builds discipline becomes the master of their direction. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when your feelings are telling you to do something easier. It is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. A person without discipline is like a powerful car without a steering wheel. The engine may be strong, the potential may be enormous. But without direction, power becomes wasted energy. Think about an athlete. Nobody becomes great by training only when they feel excited. The champion trains when nobody is cheering. The musician practices when nobody is listening. The writer writes when nobody is reading. The entrepreneur works when nobody believes. The difference between average and extraordinary is often not ability. It is the willingness to continue when the excitement disappears. Because every dream has a price, and the price is paid in effort, patience, sacrifice, learning, and repetition. Here's what most people don't understand. They want the reward without the routine. They want the results without the repetition. They want the harvest without planting. But nature does not work that way. A farmer does not plant a seed today and demand a tree tomorrow. He understands seasons. He understands patience. He understands that growth happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Your personal growth works the same way. There are seasons where you are planting. There are seasons where you are learning. There are seasons where you are struggling. There are seasons where it feels like nothing is happening, but something is happening. Roots are forming. Strength is developing. Character is being built. The person you are becoming is being created in those quiet seasons. The third thing you must master every day is your time. Because time is the one resource every person receives equally. The wealthy person and the struggling person both receive 24 hours. The successful person and the unsuccessful person both wake up with the same number of minutes available. The difference is not the amount of time. The difference is the awareness of time. Time is not something you spend. Time is something you invest. Every hour you use is creating a future version of yourself. When you spend an hour learning, you are investing in knowledge. When you spend an hour improving your skills, you are investing in capability. When you spend an hour complaining, you are investing in weakness. When you spend an hour comparing yourself to others, you are investing in insecurity. Your future is being purchased every single day with the currency of your attention. And attention is becoming one of the rarest resources in the modern world. Everyone wants your attention, every notification, every distraction, every meaningless conversation, every unnecessary argument. They are all competing for the most valuable thing you have, your focus. A distracted person can have incredible potential and still create average results. But a focused person with consistent effort can transform an ordinary life into something extraordinary. I want you to imagine something. Imagine two people receiving the same opportunity, the same information, the same amount of time, the same resources. One person spends years improving one valuable skill. The other person spends years jumping from distraction to distraction. After 5 years, they are standing in completely different places. Not because one person was lucky, not because one person was chosen, but because one person respected the power of daily investment. Small actions multiplied by time create enormous consequences. A single drop of water seems powerless, but millions of drops create rivers. A single brick seems insignificant, but thousands of bricks create buildings. A single decision seems small, but thousands of decisions create a life. And this is where many people misunderstand success. They think successful people have some secret that ordinary people do not have. They think successful people wake up with special energy. They think successful people never struggle. But the truth is, successful people struggle too. They feel fear too. They experience doubt too. They face rejection too. The difference is they have learned how to move forward while those feelings exist. They do not wait for fear to disappear before they act. They act until fear becomes smaller. They do not wait for confidence before beginning. They begin. And confidence grows through experience. Because confidence is not something you find. Confidence is something you build. Every promise you keep to yourself adds a brick to your confidence. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. And every time you repeatedly break promises to yourself, something inside begins to weaken. You start losing trust in your own ability. That is why keeping small commitments matters. If you tell yourself you will wake up early, wake up early. If you tell yourself you will read 10 pages, read 10 pages. If you tell yourself you will spend 30 minutes improving yourself, protect that time. Because every small victory sends a message to your mind, I am a person who follows through. And that identity becomes powerful because your actions are not just creating results, they are creating you. And once you understand that, you begin to see your daily habits differently because the smallest habit you repeat is not just changing your schedule, it is changing the person you are becoming because every action is a vote for the person you want to become. Every morning you wake up, you are standing in front of a silent opportunity. You are given another day, another chance, another opportunity to shape your character. But many people look at another day as a burden instead of a blessing. They wake up already defeated. They wake up carrying yesterday's failures into today's possibilities. They allow one bad experience to become the story of their entire life. But let me tell you something. A chapter is not the whole book. A difficult season is not the end of your journey. A mistake is not your identity. The person you were yesterday does not have the authority to control the person you can become today. Here's what most people don't understand. Your past can explain you, but it does not have to define you. There are people walking around with incredible potential trapped behind old beliefs. They are living according to a story they wrote about themselves years ago. I am not good enough. I am not smart enough. I am too old. I am too far behind. I missed my chance. But those are not facts. Those are thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. The most dangerous prison in the world is not made of steel. It is made of limiting beliefs. Because a person can escape a physical prison, but escaping a prison inside your own mind requires something deeper. It requires awareness. It requires courage. It requires the decision to challenge the voice inside that tells you to stay comfortable. Think about this for a moment. A seed has everything inside it that it needs to become a tree. But if the seed could think, imagine the fear it might feel underground darkness, pressure, isolation. The seed might think, something is wrong. I am buried. I am trapped. But what the seed sees as an ending is actually the beginning of transformation. The pressure is not destroying it. The pressure is preparing it. And sometimes life feels like that. Sometimes you feel buried. Sometimes you feel forgotten. Sometimes you feel like your efforts are invisible. But growth often happens in places where nobody can see. The person you become during those difficult moments is more important than the comfort you lose. The fourth thing you must master every day is your ability to learn. Because the moment you stop learning is the moment you begin falling behind. The world is constantly changing. Industries change. Technology changes. Opportunities change. The person who refuses to grow will eventually be left behind by a world that continues moving forward. But the person who develops a love for learning creates endless possibilities. Learning is not only about collecting information. It is about expanding your ability to think. It is about becoming more valuable. It is about seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. I remember hearing a story about a man who spent years struggling financially. He worked hard. He showed up every day. But something was missing. He was working harder, but he was not growing. One day, an older mentor asked him a simple question. How much time do you spend improving yourself compared to how much time you spend working? The man did not know how to answer because he realized he was spending all his energy cutting trees, but never sharpening his axe. He was exhausted because he was relying only on effort. But effort without improvement has limits. You can work harder and still remain stuck if you refuse to develop yourself. That day, he started investing time into learning. He studied communication. He studied leadership. He studied his craft. He studied successful people. Slowly, his value increased. And when your value increases, your opportunities increase. Because life often rewards the person who becomes more useful. The question is not only, what do I want? The deeper question is, who do I need to become to attract what I want? If you want better results, develop better abilities. If you want better relationships, develop better character. If you want greater opportunities, develop greater skills. Your future is connected to your growth. The fifth thing you must master every day is your emotional control. Because your emotions are powerful servants, but terrible masters. Your emotions are real. They matter. They should not be ignored. But they should not always be obeyed. There will be days when anger tells you to react. Fear tells you to quit. Doubt tells you to stop. Frustration tells you that nothing is working. But the person who becomes unstoppable learns to create space between feeling and action. They learn to pause. They learn to think. They learn to choose their response. Because your life is not only shaped by what happens to you, it is shaped by how you respond to what happens to you. Two people can experience the same failure. One person says, "This proves I cannot succeed." Another person says, "This is showing me what I need to improve." Same situation, different interpretation, different future. The difference is mindset. A powerful mind does not deny problems. A powerful mind looks at problems and asks, what lesson is hidden here? What strength can I build from this? What opportunity exists inside this challenge? Because every obstacle carries information. Every failure carries feedback. Every rejection carries direction. But you must be willing to listen. Many people quit one step before the lesson arrives. They leave the journey right before the breakthrough. Imagine a person digging for gold. They dig 10 feet. Nothing. 20 feet. Nothing. 30 feet. Nothing. They become frustrated and walk away. Another person comes to the same location, digs just a few more feet, and discovers what was hidden beneath the surface. The first person did not fail because there was no treasure. They failed because they stopped too soon. And life is full of moments where your greatest reward is hidden behind your willingness to continue. The sixth thing you must master every day is your environment. Because your environment is constantly teaching you something. The conversations you listen to, the people you spend time with, the information you consume, the standards around you. All of these things influence the person you become. You cannot spend years surrounded by negativity and expect your mind to remain untouched. You cannot constantly feed your mind with excuses and expect yourself to think like a person of possibility. The environment around you either supports your growth or slowly weakens it. This does not mean you judge people. It does not mean you believe you are better than anyone. It means you understand influence. A person who wants to become stronger must be intentional about what enters their life. If you plant a seed in poor soil, the seed may struggle, not because the seed lacks potential, but because the environment does not support growth. Human beings are similar. Your potential matters, but your environment matters too. Find people who challenge your thinking. Find people who encourage improvement. Don kinds people who are building something. Kinds people who believe growth is a lifelong journey. Because sometimes one conversation with the right person can change the direction of your entire life. A mentor can introduce you to an idea that opens a new door. A book can introduce you to a philosophy that transforms your thinking. A lesson can introduce you to a possibility you never imagined. And that is why you must protect what influences you. Because every influence is planting something inside you. The question is, what are you allowing to grow? What are you allowing to grow? Because the garden of your life will always produce something. The only question is whether you are intentionally planting or whether you are allowing anything to grow. The person who becomes unstoppable understands that life is not about controlling every circumstance. It is about mastering yourself in every circumstance. You cannot choose every storm that arrives, but you can choose the strength you build before the storm comes. You cannot decide every challenge you face, but you can decide the person you become while facing it. And that is where true power begins. The seventh thing you must master every day is your health and energy. Because your dreams require a body and mind capable of carrying them, many people spend years trying to build success while ignoring the machine that has to carry that success. Your body is not separate from your ambition. Your energy is not separate from your productivity. Your health is not separate from your future. When you take care of yourself, you are not being selfish. You are respecting the responsibility you have been given. Think about this. A person may have incredible ideas, powerful goals, and a clear vision. But if they have no energy to execute, those dreams remain trapped inside their mind. Your body is the vehicle that carries your purpose. You would never expect a vehicle with no maintenance to travel thousands of miles. Yet many people expect themselves to perform at their highest level while neglecting rest, movement, and recovery. Mastering yourself means respecting the basics. It means understanding that small choices repeated daily create powerful outcomes. A walk every day, better choices with food, enough rest, moments of silence, time away from constant noise. These are not small things. These are investments in the person who is going to live your future. The eighth thing you must master every day is your ability to communicate. Because your ideas only create impact when you can express them. A person may have wisdom, talent, and great intentions, but if they cannot communicate, their influence remains limited. Communication is not only about speaking. It is about listening. It is about understanding. It is about connecting with people. The strongest leaders are not always the loudest people in the room. Often, they are the people who understand others deeply. They know that every person carries a story. Every person carries struggles nobody sees. Every person wants to feel valued and understood. When you learn to communicate with respect and clarity, you open doors that force alone could never open. A powerful conversation can repair a relationship. A powerful idea can inspire a movement. A powerful message can change someone's life. Your words have weight. Use them carefully. The ninth thing you must master every day is gratitude. Because gratitude changes the way you see your life. It does not mean you ignore problems. It does not mean you stop improving. It means you recognize the value of what already exists while working toward what is possible. A person who has no gratitude will always feel empty, even after achieving success. because they are constantly chasing the next thing without appreciating the current moment. But a person with gratitude can find strength even during difficult seasons. They can look at a challenge and say, this is difficult, but I am growing. They can look at a setback and say, this hurts, but I am learning. They can look at today and say, I have another opportunity. Gratitude is not weakness. Gratitude is strength, because it trains your mind to see possibility instead of only problems. And when your mind learns to see possibility, your actions begin to change. The 10th thing you must master every day is the commitment to becoming better. Not perfect, better. Because perfection is a trap. Many people delay their dreams because they are waiting for the perfect moment. They are waiting until they know everything, until they feel completely ready, until every fear disappears. But growth does not happen that way. You grow by starting. You grow by learning. You grow by making mistakes and adjusting. The person who waits for perfection often remains exactly where they are. But the person who embraces progress continues moving one step, one lesson, one improvement, one decision at a time. Let me tell you something. The greatest competition you will ever face is not another person. It is the distance between who you are today and who you have the potential to become. That distance is where your work is. That distance is where your discipline is tested. That distance is where your character is created. Nobody else can walk that path for you. People can encourage you.